Hey guys, I think this is working. I'm a little late behind on edits today, so I thought I'd do a YouTube Live again. And this is going to address someone's question. Again, I suck at YouTube Live still, and there was some chat. I know that was going on. I was paying much more attention to the comments in the last YouTube Live, and someone asked about the story behind Draft. Someone asked the story behind Draft, so I'm going to wait till some people are trickling in, a couple people probably, so I'll get into this in a minute. I'm going to tweet this. Is there a link I can tweet out? I suck at all form of live. I don't even know how to tell people. Oh, here we go. Share. All right, here we go. I'm going to Twitter. Story behind Draft. Post. Maybe this is going to work. So again, this is new. I'm doing it in the office. The lighting kind of sucks. It's gotten kind of late here. It's like pitch black outside, and so yeah, there's also some business going on nearby that you might be able to hear. But anyway, I'll wait until some people come in. Yeah, lighting isn't ideal in here. But yeah, so feel free to ask comments. The weird thing about comments in YouTube Live is I don't know how to get these comments in the chat room later. I don't understand. They don't become part of the comment flow in YouTube. Does anybody know how to get the chat in a live event? If you could let me know, that would be really awesome. How's everybody's day going? Who's watching this right now? Jason, what's up, dude? How's, are you back in California? New York? No, New York, right? Ah. Cool. Yeah, the weird thing with the chat, though. Ah, cool. Cool. Brad, were you the one who asked about Draft? Like, I know somebody asked, but then it, like, I don't know how to get to those questions that people had asked. Anyway. I know a Draft question flew by, so I was going to share some of the story behind Draft. I'll give it like, okay, cool. All right. So Brad, I mean, anybody who's in here, feel free to ask more questions. Like, maybe this is even just part one, because there's a lot of nuances of Draft, like the original idea, you know, the design aspects of kind of what I put into the product, but even like the publicity behind Draft even, I think, is a lesson that I might not be able to cover by the end of this chat. Just a couple lessons there, I think, are worth talking about. So I am still working on Draft, but not, Jason asked if I'm still working on Draft. Yes, sort of. I mean, I keep it up to date, so the thing still works. It actually, I was just in California last week, and it went down while I was on, yep, celebrity editors, yep, I can talk more about that, the Ask a Pro thing. Yeah, it crashed. It was crazy. Draft is one of the most stable things I've ever worked on. The thing just keeps working. It's just awesome. However, I was on a plane going to California, and the Wi-Fi wouldn't work. I was trying to get on Wi-Fi the whole trip. It just wouldn't work, and then I land, and I realized there's a shit ton of tweets that came by about Draft being down. And it was something related to Draft does something with the Heroku API, and the Heroku API got deprecated, or just deprecated, like a new version came out, and I don't know, I'm not blaming this on Heroku. I don't think I got an email that this version had changed so that the impact was going to happen. So it might just be my fault. I might have missed an email that I should have spotted. So something changed, completely breaking how I use Heroku, and anyway, Draft went down. So that sucked. But I was in baggage claim fixing the problem. Anyway, so we've got like 8 people. Anyway, so this is the story of Draft. Please ask questions about Draft. If I'm not, you know, if there's something you want me to go deeper into, I'm happy to chat more about it. And I'll maybe do another round of this if you're still interested in more about Draft or whatever. I'm open to talking about anything. So for those who don't know, if you just know me from Highrise stuff, Draft was what I was working on before Highrise. I need to adjust this chair. Draft is what I was working on before Highrise. Draft kind of came from, Draft is just writing software. It's at draftin.com. It came out of kind of the remnants of a Y Combinator startup I was working on called CityPosh. We were working on advert gaming. And City Posh wasn't a bad product. I think we could have probably turned it into like a business. I mean, we were already making revenue from it. I could actually kind of see us turning it into something, you know, I hate the term lifestyle business, but something that paid the bills, that you know, allowed us to make really good money. Maybe not a $10 billion market or company, but something sizable. The only problem is I had no passion for selling advergaming. We were doing deals, and you know, we were doing all these deals with ad agencies and stuff, and I didn't like it, and so I just knew we were, you know, hitting things that were difficult, and I didn't want to put the effort into it. I didn't have the kind of the passion behind seeing the obstacles through. So we kind of shuttered down the product of City Posh, but then I still had, you know, I had some investment dollars still to kind of keep me working on something. I tried to start working on a to-do list app that was, I was still kind of attracted to gaming, so I was trying to make a to-do list app that would reward you for getting things done, and then you could use that credit to do things like read Twitter. So, you know, Twitter was kind of baked into this product. Anyway, it was a half-baked product that I never finished. Again, it was one of those things that I don't even know if this could turn in, this is just an app, and I don't think it could turn into like a real business, so I never finished it. You know, I hope this doesn't become, this is probably gonna, you know, poke some people in a bad way. But I went to go work for the Obama campaign. Just kind of fooling around. The engineering team asked me if I wanted to help. I knew it was going to be some really awesome engineering challenges. And so I did that just to kind of, I needed to take a break from entrepreneurship, and a friend of mine was working on the campaign. I thought it'd be really great to take a break from focusing on what I was doing here internally, and focus on other people's stuff. So just politics aside, it was a good engineering project to work on, and really helped clear my head of the stuff I was working on business-wise. And so I got out of when the Obama campaign was over, I was like, what's next? So what I was doing throughout these years though now is all this writing, and I was writing on Ninjas and Robots. It's still kind of more of a personal blog. I've been writing much more on Signal versus Noise. I've been writing much on Ninjas and Robots lately, just because it's on Subtle, and Subtle seems like it hasn't been getting much attention from Dustin Curtis. I know he still works on it, but he even doesn't seem to write much anymore on it. It's kind of a shame. I'll do something with Ninjas and Robots at some point. Maybe I'll leave it on Subtle. I'm not quite sure, but I've been spending all my time writing on Signal versus Noise, as well as I've been playing around with other places like Huffington Post and Forbes, but most of my writing, about 2 articles a week, is on Signal versus Noise. All of this writing, it just bakes, I bring home a lot of problems when it comes to writing. Things like version control, things like sharing with people, things like getting edits. So this is the story of I was doing all this writing, and writing was really important to me. I was getting a lot of new traffic, and my Twitter, you know, followers were growing, and I still had all of these problems. And this is just the cliche case of I just kept building. I was just focusing on problems I had with writing, and there was plenty of them. From some of the big things, like if you notice, one of the big features in Draft is the ability to share with somebody, and then you get back a diff, like a pull request, but it's not like GitHub. It's not, hey, you accept the entire pull request, because that's not how anyone writes. I would send my writing to my wife, and she would send me a Word doc, or she would send me an email with this whole thing, and it's very helpful. I appreciate her help very much, but it was not, you can't, as a writer who owns a blog post, or owns an article, or owns a chapter in a book, it's not, you can't just take everybody's edits, right? And you know, maybe if you were writing an email and your boss gave you edits, you're gonna take all their edits. But when you own a document, getting edits like you get a pull request isn't that helpful. I don't want to take all of the help, right? My wife isn't right all the time about all the edits she wants to make. So knowing that problem really well, and that it was still a problem, and I didn't want to send Word documents back and forth, you know, allowed me to see, like, man, no one is still doing this. I don't want real-time editing. I don't want her writing all over my article, like, in real time. I need something that she can write and share with me her edits, and I can accept individual pieces of the edit. So that was the driving force behind that. It took a lot of work. It's kind of a trade secret. I'm not going to share how I did it because I still think people are trying to crack it, and they go the GitHub way, and they do the GitHub thing with pull requests, and it's not right. It doesn't solve the problem, and the individual kind of edits to accept is tough. That was tough to build. So I'm not gonna share exactly how I did that because it was a lot of sweat, and makes draft what it is. So that was a big deal. The other two big features in draft that got people's attention, I think, were just the version control inside of draft. There was really good auto saving, and it's not really all that magical. If you look at the source code, even the JavaScript behind draft, the draft text box, it's a text box. It's not a fancy div. It's not a lot of content editable stuff. There is some magic that's going on there still with some JavaScript libraries, but it's not the crazy stuff you see today with content editable divs. And that was kind of on purpose. There was a lot of cool stuff I could have used, but my goal was formatting isn't important to me. It's just saving my words. Like, I don't care about formatting when I'm writing my thoughts down. Like, I'm not bolding a lot of stuff. I mean, I added Markdown only because, like, I can really just quickly simply do something, but I don't even go through with Markdown. When I'm writing something, I'm not thinking bold this, underline this. It's like, it's later. I'll get to that later. When I get my thoughts out, it's later. I almost think maybe I should just get rid of Markdown, actually, inside draft. I know there's a lot of Markdown lovers here who are going to hate me for that. And actually, I probably won't. I actually really like Markdown. But I play with the idea because the formatting while you're writing is just kind of dumb. I mean, don't worry about it. Just get your thoughts out. And it was like, okay, I need it to get my thoughts out. I need it to save. This thing cannot lose my writing, which a lot of text areas and other apps that are saving any of your writing, if they crash, you lose a ton of stuff that you didn't hit save on. And even the auto saving that people do is kind of quirky. If you lose your network connection and you don't realize it, it still looks like it's auto saving in a lot of apps. So it was really important to me to I spent a lot of time on that part. And I pray it always works, but I gotta admit, it was tricky. Really early on, there were some people who lost their writing because they thought it didn't stop them like I thought it would. Like, a different browser didn't obey the disarming feature that I had added. Because it's supposed to listen, if it's saving your work and then something goes wrong with either the network connection or something, it's going to let you know, stop, and it won't let you write, and it'll alert you. Anyway, it's really good now, but there was some hiccups along the way. But that was really important to me. And then marking major save points was really important. It's like, well, this is a major draft. I want to basically, I wrote the whole thing. Now I want to call it this is a major draft. Now I want to delete major things and rewrite all of it, but I don't want to lose that major draft. I want to easily get back to it and see all of it, where it was. So again, that was just a big reason why draft saves these major save points, and there's minor save points that are kind of hidden, but they still exist if you really need kind of a lot more auto saving going on in the background that isn't explicit. I really don't like a lot of the inexplicit auto saving that a lot of apps do, because you look through the version history and it's useless. It's like, oh, they saved at random points, every 5 minutes or whatever. It's not conducive to understanding what your versions are doing. So I really like the explicit save point where it's just okay, this is saved, this is a major version, this is a major version, this is a major version. So I understand when I'm looking through that, what my thinking was of these major versions. But behind the scenes, it's always saving. It's always saving everything you write. So that was feature 2. Feature 3 was maybe one of the more interesting things in terms of the press and people's kind of whoa, this is really weird and different, which was Ask a Pro. It again came from a real life usage. I would ask my wife, hey, can I get your edits? And she's busy. She doesn't have time to always be editing my writing, especially if I'm doing a lot of it. So it was I really could use a professional editor. Nothing too crazy, just simple stuff. Not rewriting, not like a book editor, not like a magazine editor, giving me really deep feedback, but basic stuff, like a college-educated friend giving me basic help. And so I I was like, well, if I need that, probably some other people did, and I found a service that I could hire people to do tasks like that, smart people, and so it doesn't make much profit, and it's really dirt cheap that I charge for this service. But that was kind of the point. It was like, can I break even or maybe make a little bit, and offer this inside the tool, because no other tool is offering you an editor inside. So that's where that came from, the Ask a Pro stuff. So I don't know, like, I'm asked questions, I'm free to answer more of this stuff, but I think the really big lesson from all this was, if you look at even that story arc of City Posh was advergaming stuff I wasn't really like. How much was built when you launched? So Jason and Brad, I got this question. So Jason, I actually use Jason. I use our YC friends. I don't even know what they call themselves anymore. Lead Genius. I use those guys. So I didn't go recruit a bunch of editors. The Lead Genius folks did, and they had folks that were dedicated to like writing, editing, and so I've been using them. And I just have this like relationship with them. Lead Genius, is that what I said? Yeah. They do leads now. I don't think you can even enter into a relationship with them like I have still. I'm kind of grandfathered in because I've been using them so long. But there's other, I feel like you could scale this to other avenues. But Lead Genius, they were hiring really smart, educated people. It wasn't just like a random bunch of folks. So that's who I used. Brad, you asked how much was built before I launched. How much was built before I launched? Well, I guess that's kind of gray. Like, I launched, like a few times. Like, I launched to, I belong to this community in Chicago where we go to, it's called ORD Camp. It's something that Fitz, he's kind of a personality out there on Twitter. He was like the engineering director or lead. He brought the engineering team to Chicago at Google. Anyway, he and Zach Kaplan, ORD Camp, like Chicago, the airport, ORD. It's like food camp, but the Chicago version, but it's different. So Zach and Fitz put together this camp. I know a bunch of people who are willing to try a lot of cool stuff, so I put it out. ORD. So I just sent it out to a lot of friends at first, very initial versions, and so these groups of people, and also like the Obama folks, like they were really willing to try this thing. I made a bunch of these new friends, and so I had all these little communities that could try this out too. So I launched these communities of people, and it was still pretty raw. It didn't have Ask a Pro. And then, to be honest, like I still launched very early. I think the launch was maybe when TechCrunch told everyone about it, but the thing was already up. Everybody could have signed up. I may have kind of hid it behind like a secret link for a little while, but when TechCrunch announced it, it was pretty public for a lot of people to just sign up for. I think Ask a Pro was an interesting thing which I hacked, in which it was really manual. Ask a Pro would email me the share link, just like anybody could share a link to a draft document. It would email me personally, and then I would send that link over to one of my editors, and it was this very manual thing. And then they would edit the thing, and then I would have to look through it and kind of approve it. It was a pain in the butt, and I automated it a bunch to, obviously, as soon as someone bought the Ask a Pro, it would go to the editors automatically. So there's still a lot of like kludgy stuff like that I had put in there when I launched. And did it? I think Matt, you asked something about like, did it scale well? Well, sort of ish, that scaled well when like there wasn't a lot of people like ordering edits and stuff, but then it hit some inflection points where a lot of people were ordering them, and that was like a pain in the ass to like deal with sending this all manually over to the editors. But then it just focused me. It's like, oh man, well then that's the problem I need to solve today versus anything else. There was a time I went on vacation to Puerto Rico, and there was this huge scaling problem I had in terms of workflow. again with the edits, like the edits would come in, I would approve them, but then I didn't have anything to do with them. It was like this queue is so crazy and unmanaged very well. So then I was like, you know what, I really need to add this concept of folders inside, just this one level of folders inside Draft, so that I could have some sort of simple workflow to mark, you know, and my workflow is gonna be different from your workflow, but my folders were like, you know, pending edits, archived edits, sent and completed edits. So again, it was like this driving force. That manual operation was like laser focused me to solve that pain, because it was such a pain in the butt, versus me worrying like, well, is this a good feature? Is this a good feature? Is this a good feature? You know, those conversations could go in circles, but because this was a real pain, it had to get solved. And I think it, you know, the folders, the single level of folders was a really great addition because of that. What else? Anybody got anything else? Oh, the real story arc, I don't think I finished this, was really like City Posh came out of a place where I was like trying to create a product for other people. You know, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out like, well, how do brands try to get the word out? And we saw games being such a powerful force in 2011 on places like Facebook, and Zynga was such a crazy animal. It was like, well, how can we take advantage of the games that type of games that Zynga's producing, but then make them available to other brands to use? And like, I don't play Zynga games. I don't do brand advertising. It came from this place of just like me thinking like, what problems and do other people have, and let me come up with some weird solutions. Versus the writing stuff, Draft came out of like these deep problems I had every single day. And it was just night and day between what I could do with games and what I could do with, you know, writing, and the creativity I could bring to writing. And so I know it's somewhat cliche, you hear it all the time, but it's like, I think it's so important. Before you, and I talk about it on this channel a lot, the whole jobs to be done thing. I still think before you even explore interviewing customers and you get into the whole jobs to be done thing, focus on trying to solve the problems that you have from your experience of your working, of life, and I think you're gonna find something. Look at your credit card statement, all the things that you buy. Are you happy with all of them? I doubt it. I bet half of them you're like, I really wish this thing I was paying for was better. And you know, that's kind of like the writing stuff. Like I was using tools out there, from code tools, from blog tools, from, you know, using GitHub, and nothing worked. And so all of that, I can, you know, articulate these problems I was fixing so well and to such an expert level because it was all in here. And same thing, you know, with Highrise. It's like, I think the best stuff that we've worked on at Highrise is not the stuff that came from the jobs we've done interviews, but it's the stuff that like now that we use Highrise all day long to solve problems with customer support, with marketing and email marketing, and doing follow-ups, like recurring tasks, and it's like all of that stuff was informed not from our jobs to be done interviews, but from us using the product all day long. The jobs to be done interviews really helped us narrow down, like, you know, marketing, and it helped narrow down, like, you know, how to communicate what we're trying to do for people. When you're building something by yourself, no. Brad asked about, I think everybody can see these comments. I'm not going to repeat what I think I just read. No, do I manage like a backlog working by myself? Not really. I mean, that's not exactly true. Like, you know, not anything all that crazy. I think I had a note, like a, you know, Mac note or iPhone note or notes. I think I was using, or then it turned into like a draft document that I had going. Just a list of just random ideas that I thought I would work on, but nothing really all that prioritized. You know, the priorities really just came from mostly just me and the pains I had. You know, after I was using it enough, it was like, oh man, it's such a pain to like write this thing and then paste this over to Medium or paste this over to a WordPress, or, you know, I was using or Subtle. So I built all these integrations to publish this into other places. I don't have a Medium published yet still, which is a shame. But all that stuff, I mean, it was just using the thing that like fueled a lot of the prioritization. I mean, granted, I don't think I really ever referred to this document to look at like the backlog, because it's like I knew this, and you just when you're using it that much, it's like you know this stuff in your head. So I wouldn't feel bad about your disorganization. Anyway, so I'm gonna stop it at that because this thing has gone on for 24 minutes. It's one of my longest videos probably. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll answer more draft questions in another video if you want. Please just ask them. Email me too. If you got more questions, email me just nate.cotney@gmail.com or hit me up on Twitter or in any YouTube comments, and I'll get back to more draft questions at another time. And I've been loving. This was awesome to do another another YouTube live to keep going on the daily thing. It's been awesome. I really enjoy doing these daily videos. Not just the live. I really do I like the editing versions a lot. The lives are cool, but I really like the creativity I can kind of put forth in storytelling with editing and filmmaking. So I still love those. Those are not going to get abandoned. That's it. Thanks guys. Thanks Jason and Brad and Matt and everybody else who's been watching this. I appreciate all the chat, and I hope you guys have an awesome evening or later. And if you're new here, please subscribe. And if you dig these videos, please keep hitting that thumbs up button. I don't know exactly how this YouTube algorithm works, but I'm pretty sure this is a big deal and could help me a lot. So if you've got a second, please hit that thumbs up. And I will see you again tomorrow. Bye, everybody.